Good morning, Cam.
Hi, how are you?
We just had an awkward start because my audition didn't start recording right away until I hit the button the second time for some reason. So I'm like,
Yeah, but
good morning, Cam. And he's just like, oh, what?
The level of your reaction sort of communicated something worse than one of your 7 recordings didn't start.
So here's the thing. I only have 2 recordings going this morning because I decided to not record with Audio Hijack this morning. It's
Buckle
just superfluous
only
recording.
Only 2 recordings.
Well, the thing is the second recording is on my mixer. So I've got one on the computer, one on the mixer. Should be all I need. I haven't had Audition fail on me before, which
I feel like Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
Come on, baby, hold together.
Yep.
We got this.
We're doing the Kessel Run right now. So,
yeah.
In 12 parsecs, not 14. Someone out there will get the joke.
Yes.
All right. So big news this last week. They announced WWDC. Was that this last week or the week before?
Okay.
It was in the last 2 weeks since the last time.
I thought we were about to go political, and I was like, Mitch, let's not talk about that on this show.
Well, I have no idea what you're talking about, so.
Good.
I do
Great.
not.
Stay oblivious.
Perfect. I love not reading the news.
Yeah, ignorance around politics is generally bliss. But yes, WWDC, the worldwide dog convention, wow, 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 yippee-yo, yippee-yay, has been announced. No, that's not what that is.
This show is going to be a little rowdy. I can tell this already.
Yeah, I didn't fall asleep till like 3:30, so I am a little goofy today.
Yep, and I'm on this morning, so woohoo! Let's do this. So no, the WWDC was announced for June 5th through the 9th. I immediately put my vacation in so that I have that week off, which it works really nice for me because the 9th is my wife and I's wedding anniversary. Ah. So I kind of have the week bookend with WWDC to start the week and then our wedding anniversary to end the week. So
how many years will it be this year?
22.
Nice.
So
good for you guys.
Yep. It's been good. One of the best things I've ever did in my life. So
your marriage is about to graduate college. So that's good.
Yeah, kind of. It's getting there.
What'd you guys major in?
I don't even know where to go with this.
But yeah, no. So WWDC in just under 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So super excited. I think we've heard a few things already that could be happening there. So we'll see what happens.
But I have one question because we're gonna do our predictees.
Yeah.
As we do. Have a good old time making silly picks and serious picks. Mm-hmm. But what does your gut tell you? Just real quick, what does your gut tell you that the takeaway from WWDC might be? Like, what do you think
I'm preparing myself to be underwhelmed by the software announcements.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
But
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
But perhaps overwhelmed with the amount of information we're going to get on the reality headset.
Yeah, we can discuss that being a silly name at a later date, but
okay.
I just want to put my stake in the ground here.
Well, I don't think I think the Virtual Boy is already taken, so.
Wow.
There's a deep
cut, Mitch. Nice.
You see what's on the shelf behind me right back here, right?
Oh, that's a Game Boy.
Yeah, it's a Game Boy, but the Virtual Boy came out after that. So
I understand. Yeah, but I wouldn't look at the Game Boy
successor.
And make the automatic jump to Virtual Boy, which, holy cow, was that before its time?
Right. Yeah, and terrible.
One of my friends had one.
Did they?
Yeah, it was gnarly, dude. I forgot all about that. Wow. Yeah. Well done, sir. Touche.
So we have to go the other way with that. So. Reality.
They could call it the Virtual Man.
The Virtual Man.
Because it's been 30 years.
Yeah, so he's grown up.
He's grown up now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. I'm calling it that from now on.
Virtual Man.
TM, copyright, all that stuff. It's mine. Virtual Man.
All right. Well, I wanted to do just a tad bit of follow up on iZotope because we've talked a little bit about it. And I know that you have one more real quick thing you want to mention about Snipped. So, you want to lead with that?
Yeah, it's just real quick. So, one of the things that I enjoyed about both Overcast and Pocket Cast was the ability to add my own MP3 files. And oftentimes for me, this is MP3 files either from a conference or a sermon series, right? That, I buy from a specific pastor, or, they give away for free, or audio from conferences that I've attended, whether in person or virtually. And I was like, oh, I should do that with Snipped and take advantage of the transcripting and the saving of clips and all that sort of stuff, only to find out that's not a feature yet in Snipped. And they say it's on the roadmap and it's going to be part of their, premium subscription or whatever, which, okay, great. I was paying for Overcast and I was paying for Pocket Cast, but it was just one of those like, and this disappointment came on the heels of Tim Keller announcing that his entire sermon archive is now free, which it's been paid for. Like, you could buy the whole thing for like I think it was on sale. You get it on sale for like $1,600, but I think the normal price was like 22 or something like that. Or you could buy individual messages, or you could buy series or whatever. And occasionally they would give out free ones. So I was constantly riding the free trend. Like, whatever he was giving out for free, I was just getting and archiving and listening through as time went along. Because I really appreciate him, his sermon, his preaching style, his intellect, his willingness and intentionality of addressing non-believers in the room with critiques on what they may have on this passage, and really just engaging with the culture and in ways that are applauding the culture where the culture aligns with scripture, and then critiquing culture where it goes against the Bible. He's very I just really like it. Plus he preaches expositionally, so he'll take 30 weeks to go through Mark instead of 4. Anyways, so I have that. So I get this announcement. All of the entire archive is free now. Download at your convenience. Yes. So I started going through and like putting stuff in the cart, and then I was like looking through Snipped and just digging through, and I was like, and so I asked on their Discord. It's like, hey, I can't find this feature anywhere. Like, am I the idiot, or is this not a thing? They're like, yeah, not a thing. It's on the roadmap, but it's going to be, part of the premium, whatever. And I was like, okay, so when does that happen? Because I got all excited, and now I have to, wait, which not a big deal, right, in the grand scheme of things. But it was just one of those like, got really excited, and then immediately it was like, oh man, I can still listen to the sermons. I just can't take advantage of the features that Snipped has to offer yet. So I just have to wait for that. That's all. So good news and slightly annoying news all at the same time.
Right on. Well, as far as iZotope is concerned, I did sign up for the subscription plan for that, and did the free trial and ended up paying for my first month. And it is working really well on, or at least the newer versions of everything are working really well with Adobe Audition on Apple Silicon now. So I know that they've announced that RX10 is native. I don't know if anything else is running in Rosetta 2 right now, but it seems like everything is running really smoothly. So, and by the way, absolutely love RX10. Their repair assistant tool in RX10 is killer. In Adobe Audition, all you have to do is start your audio, click a little learn button in the interface, and it takes about 5-10 seconds of listening to the audio to set a baseline for how much It's using AI apparently to do this, and it listens to the audio and says, okay, this is how much where the noise floor is. Here's how much we should de-ess it. Here's de-reverbing. I think it's got two other things in the image there that it possibly could do to the audio, and then it automatically sets all the settings for you once it gets done. And so then you can tweak it from there if you want to put a little bit more de-reverb in, or the de-esser didn't quite get everything. So it gives you a lot of flexibility with what it came up with, but it works amazingly well. If there's anything that I didn't like about it, was that it makes the audio, like, I did a little bit more tuning. There's a podcast that I was editing recently that I did a little bit more tuning to, that it started to sound a little too dry. But what was really amazing is I put it into Nectar Pro. I pulled Nectar Pro up right behind RX10, and in the compressor was able to wet it up a little bit and make it sound a little bit fuller. And so just using a couple of those tools together, I actually was able to clean up the audio really well, and then give it a little bit better sound, a little bit fuller sound, and just make it sound less compressed. Oddly, I'm using a compressor to do that, but then with a little bit of a EQ, a little work in the EQ, it went back to sounding the way it should have initially, without all the garbage that was in the audio. So I was really impressed with how easy iZotope was to kind of use, and how quickly it worked. Because these are, if I would have done this by hand in Adobe Audition, it was 5 different audio effects, actually 6 different audio effects that I would have used, and I would have had to tune each one, and then try and make sure that they were in the right order, because order matters in the effects rack. Because if you're tuning something and then you tune something after that in the effects rack, it's tuning off of what you did above it. So if that makes sense. So you have to make sure that it's done in the right order, but if doing it in iZotope, or doing it in the RX10 and in Nectar Pro, it actually allowed me to tune everything exactly the way that I wanted it, without having to worry about all the little, making sure that everything was done perfectly well, because it did a lot of that heavy lifting for me. So really impressed, really happy with it. So
very good. I'm glad.
Yep.
Would have been a total bummer the other way, right?
Yeah. And there was a couple features that I really wanted in RX10 that are only available in the advanced, app, because they do have like 3 different, they've got the elements, they've got your standard version, and they've got the advanced version. What I'm using is the standard version. In the advanced version, they actually, if you have audio, and this podcast that I'm getting from that I'm working on, they're sending me one file. They're not sending me any multi-track stuff. So I'm working on one file, and the advanced version of RX10 will actually do voice detection. So it'll split the one file into different voices, so you can do your audio work on each voice individually.
Yeah.
So it is amazingly, because it probably would have helped, because one of the ladies needed a little bit more de-reverbing on her voice than the other 2 that were on the podcast. So it would have been a lot easier for me to be able to work on her separately versus the other ones. But unfortunately, I can't afford $1,200 to get the advanced version of that. Yeah, $1,200.
Wow.
So sometimes I wish this podcast was a video podcast, because that look on your face was priceless.
$1,200 look is what it was.
Yeah, it was. for a plugin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. You could buy a computer for that.
Sure can. You can buy a lot of things for $1,200. I didn't spend that much money at Galaxy's Edge, and I spent a lot of money at Galaxy's Edge. So, All right. Well, we have a little bit different episode today than normally we would do, because we thought there's not a lot of news right now to talk about. And the little bit that is mainly just like pontificating on rumors and stuff like that, which we do a lot of that. So we should probably try something new. And my theory behind this is that Cam and I grew up about 10 years apart, in generationally. So there's some movies and cultural things that had a different effect on me than had on Cam. And so I thought we would do a movie club every so often, a movie club episode where we trade off picking a movie and make the other person watch the movie. It doesn't have to be a good movie, which our first pick will definitely exemplify that. I think this is a half a good movie if you ask me, but it's something that was a very foundational movie for me. So rather than sit and introduce it for a half an hour, let's go ahead and get into our movie club today on So I Married an Axe Murderer. All right. So first off, you've seen this movie before?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. I've watched this movie several times over the years, but this is a movie that was introduced to me back right about when it came out, and I have that information available here. So let me pull that up.
93, right?
I think it was. I think that sounds right. This is Mike Myers' second movie. This is a movie he did the year after Wayne's World. So, and I saw it. I must have still been in high school when I saw this, because I graduated in 95. Either that or it was just after high school that I saw this, that I was introduced to this movie. But it had the effect on me that I really enjoyed how they had kind of the coffee shop idea, and those kinds of things really made an imprint on me at the time, because that was the culture that I kind of came up in. So the poetry and all that kind of stuff, those were the kind of people that I hung out with. So I kind of identified with some of this stuff. So
really poetry?
I've written a little poetry.
No, I'm saying what Mike Myers did in that movie.
It's a kind of poetry. Yeah.
It's bad.
It's subjective.
Whoa,
man! As all art is. Anyway, so I've explained how I came to this movie. How did this movie, like, what? I don't know if you remember when you first saw this movie, or how did you what were your impressions?
Probably middle school or early high school. One of the reasons why is my grandparents immigrated from Scotland, right? And in the movie, Mike Myers' parents have immigrated from Scotland. And so his dad in the movie is obviously a caricature, but there were some darn good similarities between him and my grandpa in certain ways. And, and I also I'm cranially endowed. I have a large head. And so oftentimes there was like the joke of like, he'd move, It's like an orange on a toothpick. It's
that boy's got a huge melon. It's like Sputnik, quite pointy in parts.
It's so good.
This movie is so full of stuff like that.
He's going to go upstairs and cry himself to sleep on his large pillow.
And it's huge pillow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So
there was a direct familial tie to why parts of this movie were really funny.
So for the podcast today, I went on the IMDb and read some of the trivia and stuff like that about the movie. And one of the interesting things that they talked about, first off, Sharon Stone was supposed to play the female lead in this movie, and she dropped it because she wanted to play the female lead and the sister part, and they wouldn't let her do that. So
they would have been twins or something.
Something like that, yeah. But but she turned it down, and Nancy Travis got the gig. But Mike Myers was never supposed to play his father. But when he was on, they were reading for the parts, and so he just kind of riffed on what his father should sound like, and they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna play your father." So, and he based it on his own father, because apparently his father was very much like that.
But his parents were from Liverpool, right?
Sure.
That's what I thought. But anyway, because he grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
but he said that the part was based very, very much on his father,
his actual dad.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yeah. But I would say the scenes with his father are what steal this movie, and the movie itself is really about struggling with commitment, dealing with, his parents. They love each other, but they don't have the poster marriage. They obviously struggle. She's up on other guys. He's, yelling at her. When you really start looking at the behavior in the home, he obviously didn't have, a real good example of what a married couple should look like. And so you can kind of understand a little bit from what we see in the movie that he has commitment issues. And so then later on, we start to learn more about his commitment issues, why the silly reasons that he would break up with girlfriends. And then he's thrown into a relationship with a woman who he starts to believe is Mrs. X, which is a Weekly World News article. Do you remember Weekly World News? I don't even know if that's in print anymore.
That was a real thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, I thought it was made up for the movie.
Oh, no.
It's just like a crappy tabloid.
Nope, it was a for real tabloid. I kind of believe that some of the statistics that they were talking about probably were legit, because people read that magazine, but it had stupid stuff in it about like the lizard boy that was born, and if you can look it up online, there's all kinds of crazy headlines.
I sure don't want that in my search history.
But that was a legit paper, and it was one of those that would be in the rack at the grocery store, in the checkout lanes back in the day. But of course there's the article Mrs. X, and all of the stuff that's in the article starts to make sense that this is the woman that is being talked about in the article.
Right. And the key point is that she has killed 3 of her former husbands.
That's the belief at this point. Yep.
Yeah.
So why I say this is a half a good movie is I feel like when they were writing this movie and developing this movie, like they really put a lot of work into the first half of the movie. And then they realized, shoot, we got to finish this movie. and it doesn't seem to be doesn't feel to me like they put nearly so much work into the payoff of the movie. Like they knew where they were going, but you didn't have the density of jokes and fun stuff towards the end of the movie that you had at the front end of the movie. And that may just be because his portrayal of his father was so good that you just don't get that at the end of the movie.
Yeah, but it would have, the end of the movie, it goes from comedy to like a fun, lighthearted, goofy Mike Myers comedy to a not good suspense movie. Like there's that shift when they get to the hotel, right? Out in the middle of nowhere. And it like shifts to like bad suspense movie.
Right.
Which is odd.
That's still trying to be a comedy, but it's just like a weird, like, the honeymoon chair. Just weird. So.
Yep. There is one thing I want to bring your attention to.
Yeah.
And if you caught this, then tell me to shut up. When Mike Myers is having dinner at his parents' house, and his buddy Tony, who's the police officer, is there sitting on the couch with the dad, and they're making fun of Heed, all that stuff. And then he starts going off about some of his conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
And he talks about the Pentaverate,
Yeah.
the 5 people that rule the world, and one of them being Colonel Sanders before he died. You know that Mike Myers made a movie called The Pentaverate like 2 years ago?
No.
Yeah. So like legit, like 30 years after this movie, just an offhanded comment that he made in So I Married an Axe Murderer winds up being an entire film on its own.
I'll have to look that up.
And it's about the secret society that rules the world, and he plays like 3 characters in it, like he always does.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it because it looks so cheesy.
Yeah.
But now that it's like, oh my gosh, he laid the seeds for this in 1993 in a drunken, like just rant by his dad in this other movie. And I'm like, so now I want to be like, I want to watch it and see what other, like, what else does he pull? Like in the Pentaverate movie, like, does he drop hints to other movies in his past, or like, I don't know. I heard that and I was like, no way. What an Easter egg.
Yeah. Now we definitely don't have to. In my home, we embrace the bad movie. My wife and I will sit and watch terrible movies together. We'd spend a whole lot of time watching the Hallmark Channel over the Christmas season. And
how do you feel about Sharknado?
I've not seen Sharknado, but we could put that on the list.
No, please, God, no.
But for me, like we've seen some pretty awful movies. And there's always 2 comments. One, we laugh at them for what they are. They're just bad movies. And, and we also look at them and go, guess what? We never have to watch that again.
You never had to watch it in the first place.
Well, it's true, but, But anyway, we have fun watching
Redemption.
Bad movies.
What a terrible movie.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so I'm trying to think about what else we can say about this movie.
The parts that are funny are very funny.
They're hilarious. Yeah.
The parts that aren't. Oof.
Oh, and I should apologize for making you see naked Mike Myers, but
I've seen all the Austin Powers movies, so
yeah, well,
he does like to run around in his undies. He does that in Wayne's World.
Yep.
It's just kind of his weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I will be honest. So like the movie starts with this like POV montage of the coffee shop of like they get this giant mug and it gets washed, and I dare say not by 2023 standards does that cup get cleaned. Like they take this used coffee cup from a person, walk it 20 feet to the bar, he dips it in soap, dips it in water, rinses it with a towel, and hands it directly to the barista who puts coffee. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's full of COVID right there. Like,
yep, there was no sanitation.
They set it right next to the camera and they walk it through like this bar / coffee shop with all these like, whatever the early 90s version of hippies were, right? Into this back room and they're doing like a poetry slam, I guess. And then they hand the cup to Mike, and it's a large, it's probably what, like 6-8 inches across. Like,
it's a big mug.
Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the music and the montage like stops. And then he goes, I think you got this wrong. I ordered the large cappuccino.
Yeah.
and I was like,
it's like Campbell's cappuccino.
As soon as that happened, I was like, oh, this movie's already too long. I can't do this. Because it was so bad. And like he does that like that Mike Myers thing where like he looks and then laughs at himself real cheesy. And it's like, oh, I don't know if I can handle an hour and a half of this kind of comedy. Now it got better.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, my first reaction was I don't remember this part, and 2, yikes.
He was picking on his friend about looking like Huggy Bear right after that.
Well, to be fair,
you look like an undercover cop trying to look hip. Well, I am an undercover cop trying to look hip.
And I laugh too because he's like, "You look like Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch." Where else would Huggy Bear be from?
Right.
Like, everyone knows who Huggy Bear is, even if
Yeah.
they've never seen Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah. So, but the music in this, what did you think of the music?
A very, very time appropriate
Yeah.
or date appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The There She Goes being the big theme in the movie, I think was a really good kind of anchor musically for the movie. It felt right. So
for the lighthearted parts, yeah. Like the first half, and like, oh, they're in the butcher shop and he's helping out and pretending his hand is cut off and scaring
they'd
old
use a different
ladies.
song for that.
But but like that song starts
music
the
was
movie.
appropriate.
That song starts the movie,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then as he sees her, like it's a theme that gets brought up as his relationship with not Mrs. X. I don't remember her name.
Harriet.
There we go.
Sweet Harriet. Hard-hearted harbinger of haggis. That's one of my favorite scenes in that movie. Outside of the scenes with his dad,
he's got that stupid cigarette, just like pointed, like hard harbinger of haggis.
Yep. So it's his thing. So
yeah, well, I read the description and it says Charlie, a multimedia poet, blah 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 blah, and I was like, does he do his poetry in PowerPoint? I'm sorry, what is a multimedia? What is a multimedia poet? And then I just realized they couldn't just say like he does jazz poetry, or because he's got like a upright bass and a
trumpet,
drums, and a drummer, little 3-piece, trio. But I was like, multimedia poet. Like I just couldn't get over that description.
Well, this felt very. This movie felt very like my. We hung out in coffee shops when I was around that age. That would have put me 17, 18, 19 years old in that range. And I hung out with people that had some similarity to some of the people that were in this movie. And it was, it takes me back to that time to sit and watch that movie. So I would say that I have a little nostalgia about this movie, where maybe you approach this a little bit differently.
No, I was 7 when this came out.
Yeah.
Right. So I was probably 15, 20 years younger than the characters in the movie.
We all wished that our coffee shops were this cool too.
I didn't know what coffee was when I was 7. Yeah. But like, my connection to the movie is more the loud, Scottish old man.
Yeah.
Than any sort of cultural or nostalgic. But what I appreciated about it from a what's the right word? It looks like an authentic early 90s movie because it was.
Yep.
And like if there was ever a remake of this, it would look like a remake because of the style, the clothes, the hair, or like everything about it. The stores, the streets, like it is an authentic early 90s movie because it was filmed and everything is just like, that was exactly what the early 90s were like. Yep. I can remember my parents wearing some of the, the hairstyles and the clothes, and my aunts and uncles, and, I have vivid memories. So like for me, the nostalgia of it wasn't me experiencing that scene. It was me remembering what my parents and my aunts and uncles looked like when I was a kid, and so that was a nostalgic tie for me, really, was just, oh yeah, I remember my dad having that silly haircut, or, my mom having this suit coat with the shoulder pads,
Yeah. And outside of
so many baggy pants.
Yeah. And outside of the elements of the story, I think that this was a very believable 1993 San Francisco.
Well, I spent the first, what is it, like 15 minutes of the movie? I'm like, okay, what city are they in? What city? Because you don't really get like a broad view. You just get really tight shots early. And there's nothing that gives it away. Like you don't see any car license plates. And then finally he's with Harriet and they go out and you're like, oh, and there's the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, now I know where we are. Because I always try to figure out early on in movies, are they in a real city or is this city just exist in the movie? Some made up town, like they do in TV shows or movies sometimes. And so I was just trying to figure out, like, okay, are they in a real location or is this just some nondescript, U.S. city? And then you just get smacked in the face with the Golden Gate Bridge about 12, 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if you put a star rating on this movie, what would it be?
Out of 5?
Yeah.
2?
2? All right.
Yeah.
I could agree from just a pure quality standpoint of the movie. I would give it like a 2 or 3. I don't think it's, when I look at a star rating, my 3 is like, okay, I liked it. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. Once I start going to a 2, it's, there's something wrong. There's something like very wrong with it. 1 is just Zardoz, but which if you haven't seen Zardoz, don't waste your time. But so I would give it like a 2.5, 3. I don't think it's an unwatchable movie. It's an enjoyable movie. If you enjoy that time period, it is definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. But it wasn't like, for my nostalgia's sake, I would put it at a 4, for me. But I think objectively, I would say about 2.5, 3 stars. So, and it's been out for what, 30 years. So I think we can ruin the ending that it ends up being her sister that is the killer.
Not a surprise whatsoever.
Right, because she, is a little crazy throughout the movie. Yeah. Amanda Plummer played her, right? Trying to want to make sure that I'm right about that.
The last name's right for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me pull it up here. Whoever came up with the idea of IMDb should be thanked and given lots of money.
You're welcome.
That was not your idea. Oh, although, if you keep moving crap around on me so I can't find what I'm looking for. It was Amanda Plummer. Yep. She plays a really good crazy woman. So, yeah. One thing I do want to point out, I thought it was the scenes in the police station were hilarious. Like, very understated.
I'm glad you brought that up.
But funny.
It's
because
like totally unnecessary to the plot of the movie.
Right.
But still really funny.
The whole idea that Tony, who is a cop, who apparently is not too happy with, being a cop, because he thought being a cop should be more exciting, and it's just a lot of paperwork. And then his boss, I'm looking for a name here. If there's
Alan Arkin, is the guy who played the boss.
Yeah. So he's like the total 90s, like very sensitive, very caring, oh, it sounds like you need a hug, and that kind of guy. And Tony's like, no. He's like, what happens to, like, I'm going to drag you into my office because this is the last screw up. I can't handle this anymore. And so over the course of the movie, you're seeing him try to be like that with Tony, dragging him into the,
role playing.
Yeah. And, oh, was the racial slur a little bit too much? No, yeah. But it's paisan, not paisan. So that stuff was hilarious. Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to mention that earlier, but
Yeah.
So
I need to point out something here that I found on the IMDb page that I think is hilarious. So Charlie's younger brother, who they berate for having a huge head, he's credited as Heed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name that's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Heed. Yeah. So
his name is, I'm pretty sure it's William, but yeah, in the credits it's Heed.
So that's funny. We get a little bit of Phil Hartman in there.
Yeah, that was is it Vicky, the Alcatraz tour guide?
He's credited as John Johnson, but with the nickname Vicky. So.
Yeah, what a sad story for him too, man.
Yeah,
but it was good to see him in the movie. Total surprise. He came on the screen and I was like, oh no way! Yep. I haven't seen him in ages.
Yeah,
and he does such a good job of that dry, just deadpan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, there was one thing on IMDb that I thought was interesting, and it's probably one of the most commented on pieces of trivia about the movie. There's a scene where Nancy Travis is chopping up some vegetables. She's doing some cooking. Oh no, it's in the butcher shop. That's where it is. Mm-hmm. She's chopping up the meat. There was an incident on set where she actually chopped into her finger. And they had to bandage it up and everything. Apparently, there's a scene later in the movie where you in the wide shot you can see a bandage on her finger from where she cut her finger. So it made it sound like she chopped it off, but I don't think that's what happened. So yeah, I see you. Anyway. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. I enjoy this movie. I've got to pull it out every once in a while and watch it, just if for nothing else, just for those scenes with his dad Stuart, and it's just fun. The wedding was kind of fun with the piper going down.
We've got the piper down.
Piper's down. So. I will tell you that there is one line in this movie that we use in my house regularly. My mom will come to visit, and I'll look at my wife and go, or my wife sometimes will look at me, or I'll look at her, and we'll jokingly say, now give your mother a hug, or I'll kick your teeth in. So, but good stuff. All right. Well, are you ready for what's delighting us today?
Yes.
All right, let's kick it.
Yes, I am.
Well, what's delighting you today, Cam?
That's a good question. What's delighting me today? Well, Easter's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That always makes me happy.
Yep.
It's kind of like the most important day of the year. It often gets dwarfed by other holidays, but
it does.
From a Christian perspective, it kind of the most important day in history. So I'm always happy when Easter rolls around, and we had a Good Friday service at church last night, and then tomorrow we'll obviously have our Easter service, and we'll celebrate and lunch and spend the day with friends and stuff. And it's just a good day, and it makes me happy and grateful and all of those good things. So I like Easter. I'm a big fan.
Yep. And even bigger fan for what it did for us. So
amen. Hallelujah. So what's delighting you, sir?
Well, I've got two things I wanted to talk about today, because I couldn't narrow it down, because there are two things over the last couple of weeks that have been really delighting me, and I'm trying to I had to reinstall the MLB app to get what I needed out of it. So Brewer baseball is back, and I'm super excited about this because not only do I enjoy the baseball season coming back, and we are in season now. So home opener was a week ago today. I'm trying to remember. Oh no, it was this last Monday. We opened the season a week ago Thursday. So I'm super excited, and they're doing really well. The Brewers are. So I was just wanted to check and see how many games in a row they've won here, because I couldn't remember if it was 5 or 6. And shoot, believe it or not, the iPad app is different from the app that I'm used to looking at, because I'm used to looking at the yeah, we lost the first game to the Cubs, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row now. So, and they've got the Cardinals tonight at 6:10. So
gross.
Yeah.
Go Brewers.
And the Brewers have we shut out the Mets 2 out of 3 games. They shut out the Cardinals last night. So, yeah, the Mets, that was 10-0 on Monday, 9-0 on Tuesday, and then they had a walk-off home run in the 9th on Wednesday to beat the Mets. So
Are they playing that zone defense? You know, sending their shortstop on blitzes and stuff.
Sure.
Is that how they're shutting them down? Dude, wouldn't it be nuts if you could like blitz baseball players, just bum rush the guy at the plate? I mean, you might get smoked with the baseball.
I seem to remember a question that we had about how you would change the rules in sports or something like that, what we did.
And technically, the outfielders are playing a zone defense.
Kind of. Yeah.
Cover 3, baby.
Mm-hmm. But what has been really cool this year, and I've been enjoying this because the games are shorter, is that they have the pitch clock this year. So pitchers can't just stand on the mound and wait until they're ready. They've got to pitch within 15 to 20 seconds, depending on if there's a runner on base or not. And I thought that the mechanic here was really interesting. So first off, the batter has to be in the box by the time that there's 8 seconds left to pitch. So if the batter's not in the box in that time, they get a strike against them. If the pitcher has a pitch clock violation where they don't pitch, they have to be started into their pitching motion by time the clock runs out. And if they're not in their pitching motion by that time, they get a ball against them. Or it's a balk if it's ball 4. So, and you know, they've made the rules a little bit more difficult around like disengaging from the pitch. So they only get 2 chances to throw. This gets really complicated. They have 2 chances to throw out somebody who's on base. Technically 3, but the third time they have to be out. And I'm not sure what happens
if they're not.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. But because I haven't seen it happen yet. But then if that individual steals a base, then it's reset. So it either resets with the batter or with them changing the base that they're on. So at any rate. So the rules are a little different this year. They've got some rules for the defense that they can't shift. You know, back in the day, you'd be able to shift all your players depending on the batter.
You put your third baseman on the right side of second base and have your shortstop just cover that whole left side of the field.
Yeah, so they used to be able to do that. However they start the inning is how they have to play the inning. So if they can shift if they want to, but they have to play the whole inning shifted that way. Yeah. So it's been leading to higher scoring games. Just, I think, a little bit more excitement in the games. and it's kept the pitch clock has kept the games moving. So, you don't, you're where you used to sit for, 3 to 4 hours in a game. Now you're getting your games in about 2 to 2.5 hours.
It'll be interesting to see how the pitch clock affects the long-term arm health and strength of pitchers across the season. Because if they're having to chunk, like, are starters only going 5 innings now instead of trying to stretch to 7 and 8 to get to the closer,
right?
Because they don't have as much rest time in the game. Do their arms break down 3/4 of the way through the season because it's just more frequent, stress on their arms? Like, it'll be, because this is the first season, you said, right?
Well, they did this in the minors last year, so they have that experience behind them. So they can kind of gauge from how things worked in the minors last year to.
But they don't play as many games as the pros do, right?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they did.
But we'll see.
So yeah, I that's the first thing that came to my mind was, man, I wonder how the pitchers are going to hold up.
Yeah. Well, the pitchers have been, from what I've seen so far this season, have been getting about 4 or 5 innings. So, and then they're.
Did they change the rules then around quality starts and wins? Because you had to go at least 5 to be the pitcher of record beforehand.
I don't think so. Well, we'll have to see. Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure. But anyway, the other thing that I've been super excited about and having fun with this last week is Notion. I discovered databases and the power of databases this last week, and right. So I've been building databases. I built basically taking what I've put in spreadsheets in the past and transferring them into databases. So one thing that I've been doing a little research on, because I want to find out if there's a way to do this, is I'd love to be able to take a spreadsheet that I built in Numbers and copy and paste it or import it or something so that it becomes a database. But I'm not sure if there's a way to do that in Notion yet or not. So if there was a way to do that, I would almost think that maybe like being able to export it as a CSV file and copy and paste that in or import it in a way. But I just started doing some web searching on it to see if there's some way to make that happen, or because then you can take that and customize it that whatever way you want to from there. But I haven't been able to find anything yet. So
yeah, I'm looking. Have you discovered Thomas Frank on YouTube yet?
No.
Okay, so he's all about Notion. And then there was this lady from Canada who's like crazy good with Notion and the databases and all that sort of stuff. I'll see if I can find her, but they may not help you with the importing part, but if you really want to go down the rabbit hole with databases and the Notion AI and all that sort of stuff, Thomas Frank for sure. And then I can't remember the other lady's name. She's French Canadian. Got a great accent. Nuts. I can't find it. Oh, Marie Poulin. That's her name. Marie Poulin. Poulin. So for you or anyone listening, those would be some great places to start getting into advanced Notion stuff.
Okay. All right. I put a note in Notion.
So meta, Mitch.
So I had what I did in Notion, and I kind of broke this down a little bit more because I have notes for our podcast in Notion. So like for the episode today, talking about So I Married an Axe Murderer, I went through and I tried using Notion AI to come up with like an outline of the movie. It did an okay job, but it also made some stuff up that wasn't in the movie. So So I kind of abandoned that. But then what it was nice though is that it gave me a framework to work in. So I was able to edit what Notion AI screwed up. And
what did it add?
What it did is it got a lot of facts wrong about the movie. Like, it was claiming that
Like
I'm
Dr.
trying to remember.
Evil, isn't it?
I deleted it. I'm trying to remember now. No, it was saying that Charlie was the butcher and not Nancy. It was just getting like little things wrong about the movie like that. And then it was missing whole parts of the movie, which I was hoping what it would do is it go through and do a scene by scene outline, and it didn't do that at all. So, and quite honestly, I didn't do a full scene by scene outline. I was just making notes so that I kind of had it fresh in my brain as to what I wanted to talk about and such. But I have a entertainment folder, so to speak. That's all my books and movies and TV shows and everything. So that's where I started building out databases. So the first one I did for all of the Star Wars canon books, because I already had a list that I had created. So I just replicated that into a database. But then what that gave me the power to do is create a column, the status column, to say what I've read, what I haven't read, what I've reread, what I own, as presumably I haven't read, but I own it. And then be able to go in and say, well, this is the one I'm currently reading, and this is the next one I want to read. So now I can put on my dashboard a list of books that I'm either reading or is the next book that I'm reading, and draw from that information. Now, what I want to do that I'm not sure if it's going to let me do is I would love to be able to create different lists of books based on the context of what they're where I'm reading them, and then maybe what I need to do is create a database of just books and then split that out into the different pages. But I want to be able to combine the databases into a list and then filter that list. And I'm not sure if I can do that. I know that I can tab I can tab a like a table or a list so that I can put different databases in that table or list or whatever, however I decide to view it. But I haven't figured out a way where I can actually have a full list of books that I'm reading right now that is drawn from different databases in Notion.
Can you use tags?
I don't know, because all the ways to present this information require you to start with what list or what database are you drawing it from.
Oh, okay.
You know, what I would need to be able to do is say I want to draw from these multiple databases and look for this status or this tag in these 4 databases and bring that information into this table.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been like 8 months, 10 months since I really dug in the Notion. So yeah, I know things have changed a decent amount.
There might just be like one little thing that I'm missing that I need to do, or it may not be possible. So,
well, like when I went down the Notion rabbit hole, it was right after the database release happened. So like my timing was accidentally perfect, right? It was, and I built this whole Notion database that I was going to try and, use for our church, and we were going to get rid of Basecamp and, just use, but that never happened because Notion's too complex for normal people to use. Even though I built everything that all you had to do was just, you don't have to build. I constructed all the views, all the different area. Like it was as user friendly as I could make it, and it looked great and it worked great. But the cost of change is often high with normal people that are stuck in their ways. That makes it sound like they're bad.
It may
Like,
sound negative, but it's not.
they
not.
like
Yeah,
they like how Basecamp works. They know how it works. We've used it for 3 years now, and so the cost of change is high. And so I just kind of abandoned Notion at that point, and that was probably, like I said, 10 months ago. But it would be really nice if you could just be like, new list, find all items tagged current book or whatever, and it can pull them from all, and then just make you, like you're saying, make you one master list that pulls from multiple sources. But
yeah,
maybe Thomas Frank or Marie Poulin can help you out.
Yeah, I'll mess around with it and see. I'll probably have some time later today to do that, or tomorrow. But I'm having fun with that,
because I know in Obsidian I could do that easily. But you don't get the Notion, like the graphical user interface that you get with Notion, the drop downs and the tape, Obsidian is plain text, right? And so there's the perfect example of pros and cons to all these different ways of handling, or managing your knowledge or your information, right? It's a give and take with everything.
Yeah.
So, well, I hope you figure it out or are able to.
Yeah. No, I think the biggest thing right now, I was discussing Notion with my wife, and she has a huge database or huge spreadsheet that she built where she went through all of her cookbooks and put in all the recipes that are in the cookbook and had them all categorized by, is it a beef dinner? Is it a chicken? Does it use pork? And just different things like that. I'm like, that's natural for a database, but it's all in a spreadsheet right now. And it took her months to put this together, and so for me to say, well, hey, just redo it all, is silly. So if there was some way to take the spreadsheet that she built and be able to convert it over to a database in Notion, that would be, incredible, because now she can build lists and stuff like that off of that one big database. So she could organize all that.
Because like if you had the ingredients as part of it too, you could make a shopping list off of, give me a list of all of the ingredients from this recipe. Boom, on your phone. Oh, that'd be cool, Mitch.
There's some depth there that would be fun to mess with. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, happy notioning.
Well, thank you. And happy whatever you do.
Obsidian, baby.
Happy obsidian. That doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't.
No. But anyway, I suppose we can wrap it up for this week.
Really, righty then, lad.
And we've got a few more episodes before we start diving into WWDC. And we might do something a little bit fun with that. We'll have to see how schedules work out. But we're talking about doing something fun with this. So,
gonna do a hair versus hair match.
Maybe. Although I've been wearing a lot of hats lately because I haven't been telling anybody that I'm growing my hair back.
Oh, really?
So I've had my head shaved for probably 2.5, 3 years
I feel
now.
like I have more at stake in a hair versus hair match.
So there's not much there right now. It's coming back slowly, but it's just been a few weeks, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Stay tuned.
Someone was detected at your front door.
Someone was detected at my front door, apparently. So I have an Echo Show. Yep, it looks like the mail came while we were talking here. So anyway, I do kind of like how the Echo Show shows you your Ring door cam. Yeah, because I'm looking at the screen right now, and I just saw somebody walking away. So I think it was just our mail coming. So, and Ring, after Amazon bought it, they built in integration into the Echoes. So now all the Echoes in my house, say somebody was detected at the door. Now, honestly, I can turn this off, but I kind of like it. And I'm not sure how my wife feels about it.
Can you customize the message?
No, well, I haven't figured out how to. If you
That'd
can,
be awesome. Yo, Mitch.
Yo, somebody's at the door. Anyway,
I am the one who knocks. Like, the possibilities are. Oh, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. All right.
Or better yet, to reference something that none of our listeners will get. Beep. That's your new doorbell right there.
Maybe someday we'll talk about that. We'll see. All right. Anyway, let's wrap up the show for today. If you are looking for more information about us, you can hit us up on our websites. I think something that we talked about a while back is that we had moved the podcast to my website so that we weren't paying for a separate subscription. I need to get you the URL for that so we can repoint innerdialogue.show to that because they're not pointing to the right place anymore.
And that should have been done 2 months ago.
Yeah, probably could have done. But we'll get that fixed. But in the meantime, check out mitchcraig.online for anything that you would like to know about me. And you can hit me up. Actually, the easiest way to find me on Mastodon is right on my webpage. So hit that up. And Cam, where can people find you?
CamBrennan.com. For all your Cam Brennan needs.
All your Cam Brennan needs can be found at CamBrennan.com.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, man. Well, once I've been editing a podcast, that once the podcast is available, I will talk about it a little bit more on the show here, so everybody can check that out if they want to. But it is part of the Biblical Counseling Center that I am doing my training through. So, but it is not available yet, and they are, much to my dismay, are doing it season style. So they're going to put out like about 10 episodes to start, and they want to have all 10 episodes in the can ready to go before they release anything. So we will hopefully have that up over the next few months because right now it's moving at a snail's pace. But we'll once I have something up to report, I will let you guys know so you can check that out. So, all right, sir, it's been fun.
Indeed.
And we'll see you back here next time.
Very good.
Goodbye.